And welcome back to the Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix Critical Mode Any Percent Speedrun tutorial. In this episode, we have finally made it to the world that never was. We will be covering both Roxas and Xigbar in this video. As you probably know, the fights in the world that never was are incredibly difficult and incredibly dangerous, but they are also incredibly dense. There is a lot to go over with pretty much every single one of these guys, so I'm kind of going to divide them into a couple different videos. This one will be talking about Roxas and Xigbar, as I said. For Roxas, there are so many strats. Like, people have cooked so many different ways to take care of Roxas. The version that I'm going to show you is the one that I find to be quite easy, perfectly consistent, and pretty fast. It's not the absolute fastest that we have, but it's only a couple seconds slower. Like, I'm talking like 1 or 2 seconds. And for these fights, you want to pick the one that you're going to have the most success with. If it works for you, that's what you want to do, and that's what I want to give you here. So with that in mind, let's get into Roxas. So we're coming right out of TT3, no menu here. We're going to immediately get into Wisdom form and do a little bit of movement on over to the fight. There's this one fun little movement trick here where you jump onto this platform, do another jump, head this way. Once you get to about the apex of your jump, we're going to menu a fire so you can just get over this wall. It's a very small amount of time save. It's basically nothing, but it looks cool, so why not do it? Okay, Roxas. Let's get started. So Roxas opens this fight with an attack. We're going to take like a step forward. We're going to reflect it, and then we're going to immediately menu a blizzard, and then do a guard break, and then a second finisher. So let's just see what that looks like real quick. Blizzard, guard break, finisher. So that's your first full combo. So we don't have blizzard equipped, so you have to hard menu that out. Reflect, blizzard, guard break, second finisher. Now, I like to take a step forward just so I get a flash step here. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a flash step. We're going to do a thunder. We're going to do a reflect. And we're going to do a guard break. But what's really, really important here is your timing on the guard break. There is a very specific point in which you need to do that guard break. And that's going to be the same point throughout this entire fight. So once you learn the timing once, you've got it for all of them. But it's very specific. So I'm going to show you what the combo looks like here, and then I'll slow it down and show you what that timing is. So, or I didn't do a flash step, I did a slide dash. It's fine. Slide dash or flash step, whatever. Thunder, reflect, guard break. If you are mashing here, it might work, but it also might not. There is so much going on here that you can't see, that you don't realize that necessitates this timing. Probably the most obvious issue, if you do it too fast, there's a chance that Roxas might quick stagger. So instead of getting kind of knocked up into the air and fall like he does there, he might like fall super quickly. And when that happens, his revenge value is all thrown off. So you do not want to be in that situation. And as well, if you're too late, the revenge value might not be added properly and he might not retaliate. There's so many things that can go wrong in this fight if you are not doing this timing well, so you want to make sure you know it. So let's take a look at what that is. So thunder, reflect, and now I am going to do my guard break. I am going to press guard break right as I see the reflect starting to hit. So it's starting to hit, and now I do my guard break. That's it. That's the whole timing all the way through. It's a pretty obvious visual cue, and it's going to look the same every time if you're doing it properly. So reflect starts to hit, guard break. Now we're going to do that again. I take a few steps away because I want to force out a flash step. It's better for positioning, and it gives him it gives you a little bit of extra damage than the overhead hit, and it gives Roxas a little bit more time for his revenge value to start going down. The way revenge value works is it's added by hits, but it starts going down the moment that the enemy is not being staggered, and it's like getting recovery time. And if you go and just quickly do overhead hits into this combo, even if your timing reflect right, there's a chance he might retaliate early. So you want to take this step back, try to force out a flash step if possible. If you do like one overhead swing, it's not the end of the world. That should still treat you fine. But we want the flash step. So I've taken a few steps back. Gonna flash step, thunder, reflect, guard break. Again, same timing. Thunder, reflect, guard break. And just to show you that the timing is the same, the reflect starts to go off. I press guard break, bam. And now we're gonna do this one more time, but instead of the thunder, I went back to get a flash step again, but this time I'm going to do a full combo guard break and then reflect, and then I'm going to go into limit form. And you want to go into limit form at the same timing that you were doing your guard break. So as the reflect's going off, that's when you want to go into limit form. So let's see what that looks like. So doing a full combo, guard break, he's going to retaliate here. We'll reflect it, and as the reflect starts to go off, I go into limit form. Again, it'll be pretty obvious if you get this right based on how he falls. If you do it too late, he's going to get shot way into the air and going to take a while to come back down. If you do it too early, revenge value can get added too much. So that's just something to look out for. So again, timing it the same way that you're timing your guard break during the reflect. He's going to get knocked back like that. I'm going to let him land, and then I'm going to do a combo in limit form with one finisher. By the way, actually something I forgot to mention with this third combo right here, sorry to go back, he's actually going to fall and be behind me here, but I like to keep him moving in the same direction the whole way. It's not a big deal if he ends up on the other side of you. It's just for consistency's sake, I like to stay going in the same direction. So that's why I kind of walk around him to force out this flash step. Reflect, limit form. Now, as I said, we're going to do when he lands, we're going to do a limit form combo, one Zantetsuken, but no second finisher. And after the Zantetsuken, we are going to go into Ragnarok. The way my menu is, I don't have Ragnarok shortcutted. It would normally be on X, but that's where my ethers are, so I have to menu it out. Zantetsuken, I menu it out, the Ragnarok Infinity, whatever. And as I said in HB3, what we want to do with this is hold backwards so that Sora gets far away from Roxas, and that makes sure that all of the shots from the Ragnarok are going to connect with him. It's also very obvious if any of your timing has been wrong here, because he's probably going to retaliate during this combo here. If you've done anything wrong, you might be in trouble and he'll retaliate, and it's really hard to recover. But hopefully that isn't the case. Ragnarok, pull back, get the full Giga Impact. Please time that well. It's going to hit, and then I'm going to start, I'm going to land, throw an ether, and then I'm going to start kind of running away from him as he's doing his long combo retaliation where he's shooting the lasers out. I'm just trying to avoid the lasers, and my goal is, once he does his final long lunge attack at the end of this, I'm going to be immediately able to do a combo on him, or just immediately start it up without getting hit by any of the lasers. So throw an ether, and I'm going to just kind of run along the edge, so staying away from the lasers. I know when he does this, he's going to end up like right around here, and I'm going to be ready to combo him when he's done. Zantetsuken, this combo right here is going to auto-revert you from limit form. And then we are going to immediately go into a second ground combo with just one guard break finisher. So revert. I take like half a step away after the Zantetsuken, or I just basically keep holding to the left to get myself a little bit further away from him. Again, trying to force out a flash step. Guard break. And now we're going to do another round of flash step, thunder, reflect, guard break in the same timing that I was saying before. Thunder, reflect, guard break, and now we end the fight. This is a bit of a complex sequence. After that combo, I'm going to let him land. I like to have him hold for a beat instead of just immediately going into this next combo. Just to, again, I want to make sure his revenge value is down. I don't want him retaliating mid-attack here. So I'm going to let him land. I'm going to jump and do an air combo with one finisher. And I kind of position myself so this finisher is sending him into the middle of the arena. Again, it's okay if he's on the wall. It's just a little bit sketchier, I guess. And it's also going to make your timing of this a little bit harder. So positioning myself that my air combo knocks him this way. So let's see what that looks like. Boom, boom, bam. And then we're going to land. I'm going to do a thunder. That's going to cause him to retaliate. I'm going to reflect it. I'm going to do a magnet, which is going to cause him to retaliate again. And then I'm going to do another reflect, and then I'm going to go into Trinity Limit. But there is some very, very tight timing here that it's not the end of the world if you don't get it. If you don't get it, it's not a big deal. We'll just need to do the second part of Trinity, which costs 4 or 5 seconds, which is annoying. Like, you don't want it to happen, but it's fine. It's not the end of the world. You got through the fight. You're alive. So do that air combo, land, thunder, reflect, magnet, reflect, and then I could have done it earlier, but my muscle memory has me switch the command menu over while I'm doing this reflect. And this Trinity Limit timing is going to determine whether or not this kills. So I'm going to show you what it looks like when it does kill. Just like that. Very cool. Very, very cool. But if your timing is not perfect, this finisher from Trinity Limit is not going to hit, and he's going to land, and you're going to have to just mash out the second part of it to kill, and that part will kill. It's just not a guarantee that you're going to connect on this part. So the timing of this is basically you want to start your Trinity Limit right before the reflect starts to come out. I don't have a great visual cue for this. This is really just okay, I think the reflect's going to come out in just a moment, so I'm going to do it right before then. You're going to see when I unleash it here, so it's not this frame. Boom. So the reflect, literally on this next frame, the reflect is going to start, and I'm also using Trinity Limit right here. So it's really like right beforehand. It's incredibly tight timing. Again, it's not a big deal if you don't hit it, but this is what makes it kill. And that's the end of the Roxas fight. This one, eventually, with a lot of practice, this will probably become the easiest The World That Never Was fight, which is kind of crazy because this fight was the bane of my existence for years. I didn't know that timing on the guard break. I mean, that's not just me. A lot of people didn't know that. Most people didn't know that. Didn't know the timing on the guard break. We had a lot of strats that were really questionable in the past, but this strat is completely consistent. If you get your timing down, it will not fail you, which is great. We love that. And it's more than can be said about some of the other fights in this world. But I believe that's all I have to give you on Roxas. It's going to take a ton of practice. When you nail it for the first time, it's going to feel freaking amazing. And then you'll probably go do it in a run and die. But that's just kind of the way these fights go. But hopefully this helps. Let's get going on Xigbar. So we have a lot of movement and one menu to do before we get to Xigbar. And there is also something we have to do regarding our anti-points. Haven't really talked about that very much in this tutorial because it's so well routed to not matter. But we are going to be forcing ourselves to go into anti-form in order to decrease those points and allow us to use drives on these next fights without worry. So right now our anti-points are really high, and if we were to go into a fight where we had the chance of getting anti-form, we'd have a really good chance of getting it. All the fights that we've gone into drive since, I want to say since Grim Reaper 2, have been guaranteed not to give us anti-form, but at Grim Reaper 2, our anti-points were too high, and we would have had a chance to go into anti-form. So we're going to force it out. In order to do that, we're going to do this menu here. And the first step of this menu is going to be, we're going to equip 2 becomes 1 that we just got from Roxas. So switching our main Keyblade to that. It's at the bottom, so I just press up once to get there. And then we're going to go into Sora's abilities, press square. I'm going to press R1 once, which will take me to Vicinity Break. I'm going to turn that off. Then I'm going to go up and turn on Slapshot. And there's going to be a little bit of variation depending on what you do in this next fight on Xigbar. So I'm going to show you 2 different strats. One in which you don't use aerial finish and one in which you do. The one you don't use aerial finish is a couple seconds faster and you get to avoid equipping it here. But the one where you do use aerial finish is baby easy. Like, it's so easy, you will never have to think about Xigbar. But without it, it's tough. Xigbar is a tough fight, and it's tight to get all of your damage in. So that's why I'm going to show you both. You'll decide if you feel comfortable doing the one without aerial finish. Great. If not, you'd equip aerial finish in this menu as well. But continuing on with this, so either equip it or don't, but we equip slap shot, and then we're going to press R2 a couple of times, and then we're going to press down twice, and that'll get us to Combo Master, and that's our final ability to equip. So again, aerial finish depends if you want it, but we definitely need to turn off Vicinity Break, turn on Slap Shot, turn on Combo Master. And that's this menu. So we're going to be going into Anti-Form twice. We go into it here. Anti-Form will only show up if you're in combat. So we're going to do a couple of quick runs, and then there's going to be a sorcerer that spawns right over here. And once your command menu turns yellow, then you can go into a form and get yourself to go into Anti-Form. So he appears. I'm not going into form yet because my command menu isn't yellow. I'm not in combat. You can also tell like when the music changes. Okay, now it's yellow. Now I can go into form, Anti-Form. We're just going to run over here. Now this next part, we need to go into Anti-Form again. And in order to do that, we have to get our drive back, because after you use Anti-Form, you're going to end up at 0 drive. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to quick run once immediately here, twice, 3 times, then I'm going to run, and right when I get to about the edge of this diamond, I'm going to jump and do a magnet. This magnet is going to catch these 2 dragoons that want to spawn and ground pound and kill me. I'm going to lock onto one of them and then keep walking forward. I'm trying to set up that triangle that I talked about earlier, or that I discussed in the Berserkers video, where it's like a right triangle of being a distance away from them as well as the distance in the air. And I'm going to do another magnet, and then I'm going to go into Trinity Limit and use Ultima. And that is going to kill these guys and get us our drive back. So another magnet, Ultima, boom. Kills those guys. Also got lucky with a couple of synth items there. It's kind of cool. And then when it ends, I don't use the finisher. I don't want to use the finisher. But when the limit ends, then I am going to go into any form, and that's going to give us Anti-Form again. I pick up the puzzle piece for fun. And then we head into this next room, which is a walkabout. And if you didn't know, when you go into a walkabout in form, you revert automatically and get full drive, and that includes Anti-Form. So while we would have been at 0 if we just went into any other room, going into this room puts us back to full, and we are ready to go to fight Xigbar. But first, we need to do a little bit of a shopping trip. We're going to go buy some ethers. You'll usually buy 5 to 6 here. I bought 5 in this case, and it's also worth checking out how many you have on you. In this save, I have a ton. Like, you won't necessarily have this many. So I have 3 on me and then 2 in stock. So I currently have 5, and this will put me to 10. Realistically, best case scenario, to finish the run, you need like 7 ethers total. That also requires you being really good at Luxord, which is no guarantees. That's a really tough fight. It's going to take you some time to get good. So, you know, anywhere between like having, like, basically if you come into this fight and you have like 3 on you in total, you're probably fine. 2 on you is also probably fine because you can get 2 more from Riku. So basically buying 5 here and then getting 2 from Riku is 7. That's technically all you need, but having additional here will make it really safe and you won't have to worry about it. And the way that I've given you instructions here and routed this out, you should probably never have to worry about it. If you had to use some extra ethers in there, then it might get a little dicey, but hopefully that's not the case. But anyways, buy ethers, and now we are going to go into our synthesis menu. And if you have picked up any one synthesis item, which I told you to pick up the item in Timeless River to guarantee it, the game will give you an elixir here, and we need that elixir. So you go into the synthesis, is going to immediately give you the elixir, and then we're going to immediately back out. In this save, I happen to have 3, so it gave it to me anyways. And gonna start heading into the Xigbar fight, but we got one more menu. We still have 2 becomes 1 equipped. So what I want to do is go into the items. I'm going to switch that for Hero's Crest, since Xigbar is an aerial enemy, and we're gonna be doing all air combos, no ground combos. Gonna go switch to Hero's Crest. There's a quick way of doing this by pressing down and R1 once. So down once and R1 will put you on Hero's Crest. You can also just press down 1, 2, 3 times it's to get there, but I like to do 1 down, 1 R1 because it's fast. Going to equip Hero's Crest. Then we are going to equip the elixir on the spot at the bottom of the menu. So I've just pressed up once, equip the elixir. And then I like to press down here to get back to the top of Sora's menu, because in the next menu before Luxord, we're going to be needing to deal with our Keyblades again. And I'd prefer to just start at the top instead of starting at the items. So I press down to get back up to here, and that is the end of the menu. And now we are going to go into Xigbar. So first up, I'm going to show you the strat without aerial finish. Again, this is the harder one. This one's going to cause you some problems as you're learning it. And if you're really struggling, just do the one with aerial finish. Would you rather die or get DM'd and lose 1.5 minutes, or would you rather lose 4 seconds? I think the answer here should be obvious, so don't be afraid to use aerial finish. But we'll start with the one without aerial finish here. Xigbar starts off with this little, I guess like mini game shot almost, where he switches the camera on you. There's a bunch of ways to dodge this. I just wait and reflect it, and then mash triangle to do all the RCs to get out of here. And when he comes in, he's going to immediately do some sort of attack at you. He might teleport his guns in, or he might just shoot at you. What I do here is I immediately lock onto him, because we need to find him, and he didn't spawn directly in front of me. So by locking on, I'll turn the camera to him, and then I'm going to reflect whatever that first shot is. So lock on, there he is, reflect this, and now I'm going to get towards him. And what I want to do here, we're going to be going into Duck Flare, but you'll notice there's these walls in the arena. So these walls can really cause some problems. If you are attacking Xigbar and he is in one of these corners, there's a chance that some of the flares from your Duck Flare are going to hit the wall and not hit him. So what we want to do is not attack him there. So I'm going to get to this side of him and then turn my camera away from the corners. We've talked about a little bit of camera manipulation before, but Xigbar is much more likely to teleport to a spot that you are already looking. So by getting over here and then turning my camera away from these corners, I'm trying to make sure he does not go into them. Okay, so that's a way to get yourself positioned. Including that first shot that I reflected, or let's just go back to that. Including this shot, he's going to do 3 shots and then he's going to reload. So here's the first one. There he is. It's totally random what shots he decides to do. Sometimes he'll waste time and just walk around in the air. Other times he'll just give you the shots immediately. So you just got to be ready. So once he does his third one, so that's the second one. Once he does the third, and see, I'm going to get behind him here. He didn't give me a great teleport. He got me a little in the wall. So I tried to get behind him so that my combos are pushing him away from that. Right when he does the third shot, you can go into Duck Flare. And what we're going to do is we're going to do Duck Flare, aerial dive. We're going to do 2 horizontal slashes followed by 2 finishers. But in there, we're going to do a flare from the Duck Flare as early as we can, which is going to be during the first horizontal slash. So let me show you the combo in fast motion first. Or my bad, it's going to be during the second one. And then these rocket flares will start hitting as you land and your combos aren't connecting with him. So basically, the Duck Flare is keeping him staggered while you're on the ground. So slowing that combo down a little bit, I start Duck Flare, go into an aerial dive, first horizontal slash, second horizontal slash, and then you see the Duck Flare get ready to be used again. I'm going to mash that triangle button, and then I'm going to do 2 finishers. Bang, bang. And now I'm going to land, and I'm going to wait for all these rockets to connect. There is something really shitty in this fight that can happen that's pretty out of your control that I call spinny rockets. So the way that duck flare works is you're not able to start your next flare if there are still rockets in the air. And occasionally, with bad luck, one of the rockets is just going to like spin around him and never contact. And if that's the case, you're not going to be able to use your next flare, which you need to use. So what I like to do before I start my next combo is I like to make sure all of those rockets connected. So I'm going to sit on the ground here. And once I saw that all of them connected, now I'm going to start my next combo. I'm going to do an aerial dive. I'm going to do one horizontal slash. And during this first horizontal slash, the rocket flare will be ready. I'm going to do a second horizontal slash. And during this one, then I'm going to be ready to use Mega Duck Flare. So I'm going to use Mega Duck Flare during this second horizontal slash, and then I'm going to do double finisher. So let me show you that again. So aero dive, Duck Flare right when you can, which is during the first horizontal slash, second horizontal slash, go into Mega Duck Flare during that, and then double finisher. And now we're going to do our aerial dive, aerial spiral 2 finisher combo that I was talking about on Zaldin, which is the optimal way to get damage in here. So Mega Duck Flare is happening, do 2 finishers. I'm going to do this aerial dive, aerial spiral, making sure all of the hits of the aerial dive, aerial spiral are connecting, so I'm not mashing these 2 hits. So boom, boom, boom. And then do another 2 finishers. Land, I'm going to do another aerial dive. And then I'm going to start doing horizontal slashes. He is ready to break out here, and that's okay. We want him to break out. But if you can get in 2 horizontal slashes and a combo, and a finisher, do it. In this case, I'm actually able to get 2 finishers in. So I'm just trying to get in as much damage as possible before I start the next sequence here, which is going to involve me going into Valor form to get my drive back, or to get my MP back. So I'm just going to finish him off with the aerial dive into some hits. He didn't teleport there, so I was able to get both finishers to land here. And now he's going to do 3 shots again and then reload. During the 3rd shot, I want to go into Valor form. It's random, though, how he gives me this 3rd shot. In this case, I'm pretty sure he gives me an overhead, like, shoot from the sky, which I basically parry by going into Valor form. But sometimes he's really mean and teleports far away and does it. So I really want to make sure I can tell what attack he's doing. So just so I'm ready to use Valor form and parry it and hopefully not get hit during it. Because what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to want to do some hits on him in Valor form. And I want to make sure I stagger him. That's really, really important. The 2 things to look out for here are where is his health at and do you stagger him. So let's see what it looks like. So that's his 1st shot, 2nd shot. And he teleports above me, and I go into Valor form. So my damage here is really good. It's not always going to be like this. Basically, all I need to do is make sure he is below 3 bars, and I don't really want to go farther than here. He is a health gate that's like right in this area, and if you push him past that health gate, he's just going to DM as you're trying to do your next Duck Flare. So you want him, as long as you are on this part, so you got two dots remaining, any health between here and here is perfect, and you'll be able to kill no problem. So you see here, I know that I don't need to do very much damage in order to push that health gate. So once I go into Valor form here, I'm just going to let him sit for a second, do 1 hit, and then do a finisher to make sure I stagger him. If you are lower on damage, you might want to start doing your Valor form combos in the air immediately. You can get out about 3 hits and then go right into the finisher to stagger him. And if you're still low on damage, you might even want to go into the second finisher. And in the example I'm going to show you next, where I'm using aerial finish, I do that. So if you're confused about what I'm talking about here, check out that part. But regardless, see he staggers there with my finisher. I hear him make the noise. Again, really important he staggers here. And then I'm going to revert from Valor form. He's going to do 3 more shots. And then after he does the 3rd shot, I'm not going to immediately go into the Duck Flare. what I'm going to do is I'm going to wait for him to do his reloading animation, and right when he starts that, that's when I'm going to go into this combo. And it's going to be exactly the same to the first duck flare combo I did, where it's an aerial dive, 2 horizontal slashes, flare during the second horizontal slash. But one difference, instead of 2 finishers, I'm only going to do 1. So let's see what this looks like. So he starts reloading, then I go into it. Horizontal slash, do the flare, and 1 finisher. They all hit. Once they all hit, then I'm going to start the next one. Aerial dive, I'm going to use my flare during this. Or I was able to use my flare immediately during the aerial dive, which is totally good. You're just doing it as soon as possible. I'm going to do the 2 horizontal slashes and then go into Mega Duck Flare the same way. And again, I'm going to optimize my damage. 2 finishers at the end there, then aerial dive, aerial spiral, 2 finishers again, and then your final bit of aerial dive before you start going into horizontal slashes will be enough to kill. So aerial dive, aerial spiral, double finisher, aerial dive, that was enough to kill. If he was still alive, I would have started doing horizontal slashes, but that's how you kill. And actually, a bit of an example to what I was talking about earlier with the spinning rockets, it actually happened during this one. Luckily, I'm able to go into Mega Duck Flare while these ones are out, but if this was the first combo, I might be in some trouble. Look at this rocket right here. It just continuously spins around him. Look at that. Awful. If that was going on during my first combo, I wouldn't have been able to use a second flare. And basically what I would have done is I would have just proceeded as normal, except without the flare, and I would have been low on damage. And that might put us in trouble, but I would see that it happens, and I would compensate as such. That's Xigbar without aerial finish. I'm going to show that from the start again, because this is a really complex fight. And there's a lot of reacting you got to do, and a lot of good timing as well. So let's just see it again, going through it fast motion. So reflecting, trying to force him into a better space. Aerial dive, horizontal slash flare, double finisher. Aerial dive, flare, horizontal slash, Mega Duck Flare, double finisher. Aerial dive, aerial spiral, double finisher. Aerial dive, 2 horizontal slashes, finisher. So again, sometimes he might break out there. That's totally fine. Now we're going to go into Valor form after his 3rd shot. Make sure he staggers. Wait for him to do his reload animation. Now we're going to go into the same thing. 1 finisher. And finish him off right here. So that is Xigbar without aerial finish. Again, very, very, very tough fight. If you're having problems, do this version. It's going to open exactly the same. We're just going to reflect this first shot here and then mash out the RC. And then we're also going to be waiting for what he does in the exact same way. I'm going to reflect his first shot and lock onto him. Head over that direction. Avoid those shots. Starting it the exact same way, right when he does his 3rd shot, go into it. I'm going to do aerial dive and then 2 horizontal slashes and then use aerial finish. The key difference here is my flare timing. In the previous example, I had to do that as quickly as possible, but with the aerial finish strat, all I need to do is press flare while Sora's doing aerial finish, and that's what makes this so easy. Aerial finish keeps Xigbar staggered for a long time and does a lot of damage, so we're able to have much easier timing with this. So aerial dive, horizontal slash, aerial finish, and as I'm doing this aerial finish, I use my flare. It's going to hit him and stagger him, and now I'm going to go do it again, only instead I'm going to do 1 horizontal slash, then go into the aerial finish, and then start my Mega Duck Flare. I do the flare at the very start again, or at the very start of the next combo, so during this aerial dive or during the horizontal slash, whenever you're able to use it. But I aerial dive, 1 horizontal slash, finisher, and I go into Mega Duck's Flare during this aerial finish. Now, since we have aerial finish, and I did a second finisher there as well, since we have aerial finish, we can't be doing the same sort of damage optimization, so instead we're just going to do aerial dive, aerial spiral, aerial dive, aerial spiral, and then we're going to do aerial dive, and then we're going to do aerial dive, a second aerial dive, aerial spiral, and then go into the horizontal slashes, and then go ahead and do a full, do an aerial finish here. He'll probably have broken out at this point, but you'll hopefully still be connecting with him as he's doing these shots, which is totally fine, increasing the damage. That's 1 shot, 2 shots, and now during the 3rd shot, just as before, we're going to go into Valor form. And his damage is a little bit higher here, or his health is a little bit higher here. So when I go in, I'm going to do a couple of hits, and then I'm going to go do the finisher to make sure I stagger him. Again, putting him below the 3 bars, but not past the threshold. Staggered. And I saw that the damage here isn't even that incredible, so I started getting in a couple more hits of this finisher, but I was a little worried that the final hit of the second finisher might push him too far below. So I actually revert during this air combo, which you're able to do, and cancel that's the last part of the second finisher before it connects, just because I'm a little worried about over damaging him. Again, the barrier is right around here, so this amount of health is perfect. That's plenty. So I stop it. Get hit a couple times, but it's not a big deal. He's finished doing his 3 flurries and is reloading now. And now is when I wanted to go into the final duck flare. Again, same combo as before. Aerial dive, 2 horizontal slashes into the aerial finish, using the flare during the aerial finish. Flare. And now same thing. Flare during this... Oops. Flare during this... Flare during the aerial dive. 1 horizontal slash. Then going into aerial finish and doing the mega duck flare. And then optimizing our damage in the same way. Aerial dive, aerial spiral, aerial dive, aerial spiral. And then horizontal slashes if necessary. But that's enough to kill. And that's the strat with aerial finish. Again, a lot easier, a lot better to handle. You are much less worried about your timing. You're much less worried about damage as well. Again, I do recommend that version as you're learning. 4 seconds or whatever is not going to be what makes or breaks your run as you're getting started. So go ahead and learn the aerial finish strat as you're getting started. It's going to give you a much better time learning these fights and allow you to hopefully live through the world that never was a lot more often. That is all I have to say about Roxas and Xigbar. Quite a bit here, pretty dense fights. The world that never was is by far my most practiced world. Like, these fights, you got to be doing them constantly and consistently to make sure you get them down and keep them down. Because basically, when you get to this point in the run, you want it to be automatic. You want to be like, I've made it the world that never was. I'm PBing now because I'm so confident in these fights. Obviously, that's asking a lot, but these fights do demand your respect and your attention. So, again, that's Roxas and Xigbar. In the next episode, we'll be actually just covering Luxord and nothing else because Luxord is insane. But I hope this helped. I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one.